During
Hey everyone, welcome to the Not a Lonely Coffee Break podcast. We are your host. I'm Maddie.
and I'm Megan. We're a podcast about coffee and work, but make it queer.
So, a lot has been going on, Megan. You have gotten a small glimpse of my life lately because I have shared my regular calendar with you.
Yeah.
And I think I might be a source of stress for you when you see my calendar and you're like, "Oh my gosh, I'm supposed to be somewhere."
Yeah. I'm like, where did all these extra colors come from? I'm so booked. Yeah, yeah. It's been wild. I can definitely feel that we're gearing towards the end of the year because I'm tired. I'm feeling a little
Yeah.
overworked, starting to see the warning signs. And of course, the amazing time change we had,
Oh my gosh,
of
right?
course, we're gonna have to complain about it at least a little bit.
Oh my gosh, right? It was one of those things, like, I knew the time change, but the other day I was like, "Why am I so tired? It's only 7 o'clock." And then I realized
Yeah,
daylight savings
they
time.
forced me to change my clock. Yeah,
That's why it feels so much later.
yes. I have come to the conclusion, and I'll share this with our amazing listeners, lots of science backing this up in my head, that we are animals, right? Like, in the grand scheme of things, yes, we are
Mhm.
animals. And most mammals hibernate during the winter. They get their nests together, they prepare, and they
They eat all the
sleep.
food that they've been storing
Yes,
all year.
eat all the food, they sleep to conserve energy, and I think deep, deep down in our DNA, we need the same thing because it's just that time of the year. It gets cooler, the fall, we're
Mhm,
just always
mhm.
in that environment that we have to be going 100 miles an hour, but I think we need a fall break, an
Right.
adult fall
A
break.
fall break. Listeners, we are speaking of breaks. Megan and I actually are only going to we only have a few more episodes left for this year. And then Megan and I will be going on a brief hiatus before
What?
we come back for season 2 of Not a Lonely Coffee Break. What?
Number 2.
No, Megan and I had been kind of just chatting with one another, and we were kind of like, we should take like a break and then
Mhm.
come back rejuvenated, refreshed, maybe with some new topics to explore, or deeper dives into some things. So we're gearing up to the end of our season so that we can come back refreshed with a great new season for you all. So in the next couple of weeks or so, feel free to reach out to us. We're still going to be on social media, in our emails. You'll still be hearing from us, but we would love to use that time to hear from you guys on some topics you hope we explore in the new season, some conversations that you would love for us to have in our coffee chats. So make sure that you staying engaged with us even when we gear up for that hiatus.
Yeah, it's that time, it's the holidays.
Mhm.
I think
Mhm.
I also felt my analysis of my TikTok feed, people are getting really excited for Christmas this year, and I think it's just because 'cause
Mhm.
we're just like,
Mhm.
"Alright,
Mhm.
let's just wrap this up.
Right.
We're
Right, right,
done."
right. Right. Yeah, my wife and I were actually just talking about this because and I think I talked about this little on our Halloween show and that, like, I felt like Halloween snuck up on me and, like, I didn't even decorate until last minute.
Mhm.
And then, like, the day of Halloween, because I was worried trick-or-treaters were gonna, like, trip or whatever, I, like, threw some lights out on our pathway because I didn't want any kids falling, and oh my gosh, it was good I did because we had so many kids come in those inflatables, and they couldn't see anything. I was like, "It's a good thing I threw these lights out here."
That's so cute.
But I am struggling, I think, with getting in the festive spirit, which makes
Mm,
me really sad because the holidays are my favorite time of year, but there's just so much going on, and I'm just really struggling with it all, even
mhm.
though I have, like, mixed feelings about it. Like, I'm excited, but I'm also kind of like,
Yeah. What am I celebrating?
right. But tying this back in so you and I were talking on the phone earlier today, tying this back into something I said on the phone, like, maybe the holiday season will be that hard factory reset that
Oh,
we
yeah.
need, right? We wrap up the year 2025 and it's just the hard, like we were saying on the phone, like, has anyone just tried turning the off? Like,
Button.
yeah, have we just tried to power off and reboot?
Yeah, just we need to just recycle this. I mean, we're not talking like dinosaur, okay? We're not talking like the asteroid that took out the dinosaurs. We're not going that far. Look, we just need everyone to unplug, plug back in,
Uh-huh.
give it 30 seconds. Does that solve your problem?
Yeah, I think so. Maybe thinking back to even, like, when my childhood, like, turning it off and then, like, blowing
Blowing
blowing there,
on the cartridge. Yep.
yeah,
Yep. Yeah. You know, we're
clean
just
it
gonna have to
clean
try
it
that.
really good.
Yeah.
So, we're gonna manifest that. For the holiday season, it's the factory reset just for everything.
That's the factory reset season. I love it. Okay, we'll rebrand it.
Yeah,
Deal.
yeah, rebrand it.
Well, speaking of work, so give me some insight. Like what are some new things going on in the business world, Maddie?
Everything. No, I do know, so I have been actually doing a lot of different trainings or whatever in workplaces and kinda just hearing a lot of things going on. And one thing that I'm finding sort of across all the companies is a variety of things, but one thing in particular stands out when they're trying to kind of explore different just workplace cultures, environments, leaderships, and styles of work. They're using those fun tools that I'm sure a lot of people are familiar with, personality tests.
Mm,
They're everywhere in the workplace. And so, there's even been some research done that says 22% of companies use personality tests even in the hiring process, as well as team development. So I
wow.
thought that was interesting. I've
Yeah.
never been asked to take a personality test, like, like, before I'm hired, but I definitely have done them once I'm, like, onboarded and stuff.
Yeah, once you're onboarded. Like if they did that to
Yeah.
me while I was hiring, I feel like that would be a red flag.
Uh-huh.
I mean,
Yeah.
I get that you're trying to low key like sniff me out, but it's a little early. But no, I definitely do see it. Not just on hiring, but managers love using them. It's easy to like
Mhm.
distinguish like certain types of workers, personality types, how you converse with them, and just like, hey, who's an extrovert here? Who has that speaking personality? Or
Mhm.
I'm like,
Mhm.
who's our analyzing personality? So yeah, it's definitely in.
Yeah, I hear a lot of people. I know, I don't hear it as often anymore. I think it's kinda like every cycle when there's, like, a new test that pops up that's, like, the trendy thing. But I know a few years ago, everyone was obsessed with talking about the Enneagram.
Mm.
And they would be like, "I'm a such and such," and it would just be a number, like, "I'm a 2, I'm a 3, what are you?" And I'm like, "I've actually never done the Enneagram, so I don't know what my number is, but can we please stop making that our whole identity?" Because I do think, yes, they're helpful, but I just feel like a lot of people take it and they're like, "Oh my gosh, this is who I am."
Yeah.
And, like, even when they're introducing themselves, they'll be like, "Hi, I'm Maddie, and I'm a 3." And you're like, "What does that mean?"
But what does it mean? Yeah, it's almost like I don't know if you saw that TikTok trend is like, "Are you in group 7?" It was really
Oh
dumb.
my gosh.
Stupid
Megan,
song.
are you in group 7?
I was in group 7. I saw it before it became trendy, like 5 in the morning. That was wild.
Me too. We are both group 7. That's our new personality,
Yeah,
everyone. That's the new
the
personality
group
test,
7.
is if you are in group 7, which I did actually see some people on TikTok, like, posting stuff, like, in their, like, teams or whatever in the workplace, and they would go to different coworkers and say, "Megan, are you in group 7?"
Oh my god.
And based on how they responded, they would be like, "Oh, we can't talk to you then."
See, even the exclusion is like, is it inclusive? Is it
Right?
exclusive? Yeah,
Right?
people really do love taking these tests.
They do.
They can somewhat make us feel seen. We always like what it
Mhm.
might be like tied to that hierarchy of needs. Just needing to
Mhm.
belong to something. We're like, there's always like this sense of like, oh, it's me. This reads me.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. No one has ever described me as perfectly as this test.
How did they know? Yeah, it's and then also it could be like a sense of like, I'm not being difficult. This is just who I am. I'm just this. I'm a group
Mhm, mhm.
7. Don't worry
Yeah.
about it.
Don't you know about
It's
us?
almost feeling a little horoscopy, in my opinion.
I was thinking that so when I was putting this together and gathering my thoughts, I was even like people talk about their horoscopes, sometimes the way people talk about personality tests in the workplace. I even have a friend that sometimes when we're talking about stuff, I'll say something and she'll go, "What's your sign again?"
Oh,
And I'll be like,
man.
"Aquarius." And she goes, "Oh yeah, that was such an Aquarius answer." And I was like, "What does that even mean?"
First
Like,
off, how many horoscopes are there? There's like 12, 13. That's too many to keep it like, to have a little
yeah, I don't
encyclopedia
and
in
then
your
there's,
brain.
like and then there's all of that of, like, these ones are more compatible than these other ones, like, I can't keep up with them all, you guys,
No.
but I do know I'm an Aquarius.
I know that
Don't
whenever
mess with me.
I'm a Gemini, for the record, and not gonna
Aw,
lie, when I
Geminis.
know, a little two-faced, I
I
got my
wonder
bit
if we're compatible.
maybe.
Like, are we supposed to be like, are Aquarius and Geminis usually ones that say, like, "Oh, yeah, y'all get along?"
We should
Someone's gonna tell us in the comments, "Actually, no, y'all are supposed to hate each other."
yeah. Actually, this is a terrible business agreement. Also,
Mm.
we should just take a quiz. Maybe they'll
Oh, we
tell us.
should. We should.
Yeah, low key, not I do like those little sliding things on Instagram where you, like, find
Oh,
your
yeah, yeah, yeah.
horoscope and you're like,
Yeah,
"Yeah,
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
the cat." Okay, anyway.
Yeah. So, okay, all joking aside though, because Megan and I are kind of ragging on personality tests and
Mhm,
horoscopes.
mhm.
They absolutely can be beneficial and helpful when they're used right. We were just kind of making fun about the people who sometimes we feel like take it a little bit far.
Yes.
Even if that's you, you keep doing you.
Yeah, you do you. We're all
Just know
about
that Megan and I are not those people.
but I find it fun. Yeah, but
Yeah, yeah,
it
yeah.
so on the nerdy side of things, the Myers-Briggs
Mhm.
Type Indicator, or the MBTI, is one of the most
Mhm.
popular.
Yeah.
Psychologists actually criticize it a lot.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, so this is one that I think this is also one of, like, the earlier ones that people
Mhm.
really started gravitating towards, and I remember I did this one, like, even in college, like, as in one of my classes or whatever. I don't remember what letters I was, but I did it in college. But it is based on anyone who really wants to get nerdy, Carl Jung's theories. Anyone who isn't familiar with his theories, a lot of his theories have to do with kind of, like, balance, like the balance between things. And so this tool was kind of developed around some of those things. And so the research says that it's not really super reliable
Mhm.
and that actually around 50% of people get a different result when they retake it within a few weeks.
Oh,
And I do know that to be the case because I took it in college and got one thing. And then I remember taking it a little bit later, like when I was out of college, and I got a completely different result.
wow.
So anyone who's not familiar with it, I actually, because I couldn't remember what all the types were, so I did look it up for us. So the Myers-Briggs has 4 different, like, styles, and then you can get any kind of combination of these things. So there's, like, a variety of combinations, but there's 4 main ones, and it's so the first category is energy focus, which would be, like, whether or not you're an extrovert or an introvert, so an E or an I. Then
Mhm.
there's information processing. So that would be like sensing things or more like intuition type of things. So that those letters are S and N. Then it kind of measures people's ability or personality around decision making, which is thinking or feeling. So do you make decisions based on your thoughts or your feelings?
Mhm.
So T or F. And then just overall lifestyle approach, judging or perceiving. So
Mhm.
J or P. So then it asks you like all these questions and then you can get any kind of combination of those 4 things. And then they like after someone takes it, they give you like a little printout of here's what that means for you. I
Yeah.
forget how many questions it is though, but so those are the 4 it's around 4 kind of overall themes.
Okay. Yeah, that's pretty
Mhm.
wild. I have
Mhm.
heard so, like, I have heard of the Big 5 personality framework. So,
Oh, yeah.
it's a little bit more, like, based on
Mhm.
I guess, personality types. So it is
Mhm.
more surrounded on like openness, conscientiousness, if I
Mhm.
could say the word, extroversion, agreeableness, and neuroticism. And but it does
Mhm.
have a more strong backing, probably because of like the social aspect of it, the social science aspect of it, talking
Mhm.
about personality types. So, but it does sound like that one is a little bit more broad in what you can get,
Yeah.
whereas, like, the one that you were
Mhm.
just discussing, like, it seems like you could have several different combinations, so
Yeah.
who
Yeah.
knows?
That one, so the big 5 one, that is centered around, like, the big 5 personality traits that researchers say. And it actually the acronym actually, yes, it's big 5, but you can also call it the ocean framework
Okay.
because all of if you take the first letter of all of the words, it spells out
Uh,
ocean.
we do like
I
a
just
good
got
acronym.
really nerdy on y'all. But that's one of the that sometimes comes up in one of the courses that I teach when we're talking about
Okay.
personality development. So we have to
Yeah.
talk about the big 5 personality traits, but
Yeah.
yeah, of course, someone turned it into a test.
Of course, of course.
And then there's the one that we actually already referred to was the
Mhm.
Enneagram. This one kind of took off a few years ago, and it is more kind of spiritual and introspective in the approach. It's not necessarily used more in, like, scientific types of research, but a lot of people do use it more for, like, growth opportunities. And there's 9. There's 9, so it's categorized by numbers.
Uh-huh.
Um, and again, they still ask you, like, various, questions,
Mhm.
but you have, number 1, which is the reformer. Number 2 is the helper. Number 3 is the achiever. Number 4 is the individualist. 5 is the investigator. 6 is the loyalist. 7 is the enthusiast. 8 is the challenger. And 9 is the peacemaker. So after you take this little test, it's supposed to tell you what number you are.
Did we take that when we were working together? Or maybe we just talked about it?
I think we just talked about it.
Okay, because I remember talking about it, but I don't know if we actually did it. Anyway.
Yeah, I think we probably talked about it. I don't think we ever did it
Mm.
because but we talked about it because it was really big when we were working together.
Okay.
Like, everyone was like, "What's your number? What's your number? What's your number?" I don't hear it as much
Mm-mm.
anymore because I do think workplaces use more of the Myers-Briggs. Workplaces will also use another one called the DISC assessment.
Mhm, I have heard that one.
And I think that's probably one that a lot of people are familiar with. They just don't realize that that's the one they're doing. And it also separates it out into 4 different categories: dominance, influence, steadiness, and then conscientiousness to help you determine which of those realms that you're in. So there's a whole lot of tests out there.
Mhm. So,
Um,
really, when we're taking these tests, it's like I hear, like, some of them are, like, based in science, it seems like all of them have
mhm,
some sort of, like, scientific research backing with them. There seems to be some questions surrounding it, so it's like, maybe it's not like, "Okay, is it valid?" But, like, what are we using it for? Like, how are
mhm,
we actually approaching our colleagues, coworkers, subordinates, leaders?
mhm,
Like, are we using it for fun, for reflection, because it's cool, because it's trendy at the time? But if we're actually making, like, hiring decisions or maybe even, like, a decision on how you're gonna be managing this person,
right.
it could go either way, you know?
Yeah, no, I do think that's kind of where it can be helpful, right? Is not just me knowing that you're a 2 or whatever one you fall in, but the fact that I might know these things about your personality, even if it's not your entire makeup, that might impact how I can approach you, like how we can work together, approach you with feedback, or sometimes I know some of them even help us identify if people might be more processors
Mhm.
and might need time to, like, sit with information a little bit longer. 'Cause that can impact, and we've talked about this before on the show, just, like, feedback, right? So
Mhm.
how you give feedback, how you receive feedback, and if I'm a leader trying to improve my overall work dynamic with my team, you can't have the same approach with everybody.
No.
You're gonna have to adjust based on people's personalities, and so this can give you a good, I think, at least indicator of people's personalities, and then, of course, you still need to get to know them.
Right. Like, take that extra step, yeah.
Right, but it could be a great indicator of, even knowing what partners like, who might work well together on group projects based on compatibility.
Imagine all the C's and all the
Yeah,
D's. You are working on this project this month. That would be crazy. That sounds like high
it
school.
would. It would. It
Yeah.
would, for sure.
Yeah. I mean, but, I just feel like with that being said, there's a risk of being stereotyped, you know?
Mhm.
Suddenly, we're taking away, like, the individual, and you're like, "Okay, you're not this Sarah or Megan from marketing. You're the introvert or the 8 or
Yeah.
the C,"
Mhm.
whatever it might be. "Oh, well,
Yeah.
you're that person," you know?
Mhm.
And it
Well,
kinda
no,
takes away that mystery as well.
I agree, and that can even affect opportunities, especially, now that we've seen some stuff saying that people are using it for hiring or even promoting people. It may unintentionally sort of screen out certain candidates, right? If they're neurodiverse or those who maybe don't fit one of those ideal profiles. They're kind of like in the in between
Mm,
spaces, or like, because I think I have a different personality in a work setting than I do in like my personal life. So I feel like if I were to take one of those things, I might be kind of like, I don't know. Cause like sometimes I do and sometimes I don't.
yeah, yeah. I think that's a good point. Like, people are dynamic, right? And
Mhm.
another thing, we're dynamic, and then we also can be finicky, like flaky sometimes. But and a test isn't going to really show how you're growing and how you may develop under a certain manager or in a culture, and or how you may be adjusting to changes in the workplace.
Mhm.
And it doesn't really value like different styles of thinking.
Mhm. Mhm. So why do we keep taking them?
That's the
Why do
question.
workplaces keep using them, um, if there's kind of a lot of even vagueness in the
Hmm.
results that we're gonna get? And I do think that it does boil down to self-understanding. It does help your workers get to know themselves a little bit better, as well as helping other people kinda start to identify some of that stuff. So I think it can be really helpful in the starting process, absolutely.
Yeah,
So we
I
should keep using them.
you're like, but don't stop the quizzes. We want them. No,
We want them.
I think everything in moderation, right? Like anything
Mhm.
else. But also, we gotta use them correctly. Like, you don't
Yeah.
use it to take advantage or to bash into
Mhm.
someone's weaknesses.
Mhm.
It's there
Mhm.
so that we can empathize. If I know
Yeah.
that my coworker has certain needs for processing, for taking feedback,
Mm.
you know, I may not take their silence personally or however they're responding to me personally
Mhm.
because I'm like, oh, yeah, they kind of seem like they were on this personality type when we did this test. I'm going to give them some space and recheck in.
No, that's great. How are we using it, right? Because
Hmm.
I do see this a lot, not just in personality tests, but I think whenever we try to like implement something to help us get to know ourselves as a team or whatever, we start out strong and then we just kind of it dies out. So, like, they'll have us do personality tests, and they'll say, "This is so that we can best identify how we can all work together as a team." But then we don't do anything with that information. It's just like, "Megan, now you know what your personality is," but we don't see any adjustments made in leadership styles. We don't see any adjustments made into how we might operate as a workplace. So it's like, how can we take, I guess, improvements need to be made and how personality tests are expected to improve workplace culture.
Right.
Because if
Almost.
you just do the test, it's not going to change your culture unless you're doing something
Hmm.
to help it.
Yeah. Like, there's not a, you can't be lazy when you're doing this stuff, you know? I
Mhm.
think that sometimes it can be taken as like, "Oh, we did this, so that's a
Yep.
checkbox," and everybody
Mhm.
needs to just pretend like they know everything all of a
Mhm.
sudden, that we're supposed to be happy hunky dory.
Mhm.
But, like anything else, and we've talked about this several times, but, like, it's intentional,
Yep.
and it's like, if we have these resources on hand and we have these personality tests and you're like, "You know what? I've been having trouble with this person. I don't know why we're not on the same page. We're not communicating the best way. Is it me? Is it them?" Then when you get to,
Mhm.
like, a crisis point in the work relationship or the mentorship or whatever, um then go back, look at it, be like, "Okay, maybe something has shifted, and we need to have
Mhm.
to sit down and see, like, okay, well, why aren't we meeting, the same page like we used to? And maybe something has changed," and
Mhm.
really take that time, especially if you don't wanna lose this person. If they're valuable to your team, if you feel like and there's been a shift in, like, their performance because it feels like something's off. I definitely have felt that way in the past as, like, a manager, and you're like, "There's just something not clicking, like, what is it?" And it does take an
Mhm.
internal pool for you to do the work, right? The test isn't gonna do the work for you.
Right, yeah,
Um
yeah. The test will give you the data
Mhm.
that you need to then implement some sort of change. And
Right.
then, of course, anytime there's change or something new, you're gonna have to have the buy-in. So when we're even giving the personality test, lay out as leaders, right? Lay out your vision for how we're gonna use these personality tests to improve our overall workplace dynamic. And I do think right now, especially in a time when we have so many generations in the workplace
Yeah.
with lots of different personalities, it really could be a game changer because you could have a lot of issues when there's maybe someone who's Generation X, Generation Boomer, or even millennial trying to connect with that young Gen Z mindset or a younger millennial
Mhm.
personality, and there's clashes.
Yeah.
If we could maybe sit down and say, "How are we all gonna work together so that we're not ready to kill each other?"
Yeah, like, it just turns in like, you don't wanna be in a workplace with a revolving door,
No.
if you start to see that, I think, I can already hear the arguments in my head just knowing, well, Megan, I already have a lot on my plate as a manager, as a leader,
Mhm.
and it's like, just like anything else, any other of your responsibilities, you have to calendar it in, you have to
Yeah.
make the time. I mean, I'm not telling you to take 3 days out of your week to assess your subordinates or your coworkers or anything,
Mhm.
but, like, you're like, "You know what? I'm gonna take an hour of reflection. How can I, like, approach this differently? How can I ask them to approach them differently if it's something that you need?"
Mhm.
And, come to a plan, and hopefully that'll work, but it's like if you've already gone through all the trouble to, like, identify different types in your workplace, like,
You
I
might as
mean,
well
you
do
might as
something with
well.
it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't
You've
know what you're
already
trying to do here.
started. Yeah. You've already
Like,
started.
just finish it.
Yeah. Just keep it
Just
going,
keep it going.
right?
Yeah.
Absolutely. So, I think there's a lot more to personality tests. I actually was just thinking, perhaps in season 2,
Mhm.
we'll have to get Kendria back on
Yes.
because Kendria actually has a personality test that she developed
That's
based
so
on, research and all of that. And I would love to kind of hear her take and how she has seen some companies kind of implement some of those personality tests. So we'll
yeah.
have to have her on in season 2 for a deep dive.
Yeah, and then to any of our new listeners, if you haven't listened to Kendria's episode, I may
Mhm.
have been a little obsessed with her, so you should go listen
Yeah.
to it, but she's amazing, and
Yeah.
honestly, can't wait for season 2. Hopefully, we do get a hot take on, what she developed and what she thinks, 'cause
Yeah, we had her on and she talked a lot about conflict,
Mhm.
but a lot of what she talks about is communication in the workplace. And so I know that she is a big fan of personality tests, but she's also a big fan of making sure that we are being intentional in how that supports our work dynamic and leadership style. So, Kendria, be ready.
Stay tuned.
We're calling you. All right. So this was a great conversation, I think.
Yeah, I
We
loved it.
got some hot takes, we got some information. I think I'm ready for a deep dive in a future episode.
Mhm.
And I think we can agree that maybe personality tests, even though some of them might be annoying, they are not the enemy. They're just tools.
They're just tools, and they're not
Mhm.
fortune tellers. Okay? They're not they're not, a magic ball that's gonna show you all the
Mhm.
answers. We have to do the work, you have to be intentional, and you have to practice empathy. I think that's a big one, right? We
Mhm.
lo I think in some ways, like, as a leader, you have to pack away that empathy sometimes to make some hard decisions, but, when
Mhm.
you're really trying to build a connection or possibly repair a connection, it's going to take some time, just like anything else.
Absolutely. So I guess the question isn't necessarily what type are you, but we can use it more for a how do you want to grow type of conversation.
Yeah.
As an individual, as a team, as a company, and how can this tool help you with that?
Wow. Well, I really enjoyed all that. I really did.
Mhm.
I think it's all, I mean, I get a little like weird, like how you used to do those magazine tests in 17,
Oh my gosh,
those
yes, those were life.
quizzes. What kind of boyfriend are you going to have or girlfriend you're going to have? But
What kind of boyfriend are you gonna have? Mine was wrong.
you're like none of the above.
None of the above.
No. So, Maddie, I do have to know, the seasons are changing, the temperature, the sun is down. What is your fall beverage of choice now that we're in November?
All beverage of choice. I don't know. I mean, I have had some good ones that are like cinnamon like flavored. I try some stuff. We had one time that was like a gingerbread flavor, but we ended up not being a huge fan of that one. One that I really like, and it's not one that like I make, it's one that I get from a shop. It's a local company, and I don't even know if it's on their menu. I just know that last time I went, I told them I want that one from last fall and they made it for me.
Oh.
But Union Coffee, which is over in Oak Lawn,
Hmm.
I'm connected to United Methodist Church over there, which shout out to United Methodist Church and their rainbow
Yeah, that was pretty
staircase.
dope.
That is awesome.
Clap, 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 clap.
But Union Coffee, they do this really awesome apple iced coffee fall beverage with some like
Yes.
they have like a little foam on it. Oh, it's so good. And they sprinkle cinnamon on top. It got last season, I really like last winter holiday season, I really got into some of the apple
Hmm.
flavored beverages, and so I think that's probably what I gravitate towards.
That's amazing. Yeah, I love the apple flavored ones. There was one at,
Mhm.
Starbucks, but they don't sell it anymore. So I honestly
Oh,
haven't
I
been
know
there.
that last year, that one was so good.
The apple crisp, but
Yes.
they didn't do it this year, but I actually tried something different, and it was a black cherry mocha iced latte, and they did,
Mm.
like, a black cherry topper, like, cream topper.
Was
Brother,
this at
man.
Starbucks?
And no, this was at Common Good. It was so good. So shout out to them for a delicious drink.
Oh my gosh, we're gonna have to go to Common Good.
Yeah, it was delicious. But yeah, thanks. I just wanted to get some insight as we go into our seasonal time.
Mm, absolutely. Yes. Unfortunately, though, we are all out of
We're out of
coffee.
coffee. Yeah, I don't know. I feel
Um
I'm talked out.
I know. So that is our cue to wrap up for the day. But as usual, thank you for joining us and make sure that you subscribe to all of our channels so you never miss an episode or an update.
Be sure you're connected with us on our socials and continue the conversation. We love to hear about your questions you have and your experience with navigating the workplace.
Absolutely. We love social media. You can find us on LinkedIn, Instagram, Threads, and Patreon. And of course, you can always check out the show on YouTube, Spotify, or Apple to continue listening. So we hope, as always, that you will continue joining us for Not a Lonely Coffee Break. Again, we are your hosts. I'm Maddie.
And I'm Megan. Cheers,
Cheers,
queers.
queers.
We did it!